The details about our science slot this Tuesday. We find out about an innovative device developed in South Africa that could help stutterers speak fluently. Alan Falk has been closely involved with the development of this device and is here with us in the studio this morning. Alan, thank you very much for being with us on Morning Live and for taking your time out to talk about this. Firstly, I think let's start at the beginning. Stuttering. What is the main cause of stuttering?
It's a commonly asked question. Stuttering is a multifactorial disorder, and we're really no closer to understanding the true cause of stuttering. Over the last 3,000 years, stuttering has been identified, and we don't actually know what causes it.
Right.
So it does make the treatment of stuttering quite complex.
Yeah. Now, this device that's been formulated, how does it work?
Well, it uses a principle called choral accompaniment, and as the word suggests, it's well known that when stutterers speak in conjunction with someone that is fluent, they become more fluent themselves. So when people sing, they become more fluent. When people recite poetry, for example, they would become more fluent. So the effect is called choral accompaniment, and our device electronically reproduces that choral accompaniment.
Right.
It gives the user the impression that they're talking with somebody else.
Okay. So this is the device. It's this small device that, when you walked in, you actually had it attached to you on the side over here.
I carry one around in my belt clip, and
Do you
that allows
stutter?
it. No, I don't.
You don't stutter,
No.
but you carry it around with you.
I carry it around because I like to emulate how a user would typically interact with this kind of device.
Okay.
It's got to be a practical, it's got to be an everyday type of device. I charge it much the same way as someone would charge a cell phone, and the idea is that it must be user-friendly.
Right. Now, does this rectify it entirely? I mean, if you're speaking to somebody that does stutter, would I, like me asking you a stupid question, do you stutter? You haven't stuttered once, but you obviously don't. If you're wearing this device and you do have a problem, does it rectify it entirely, or does it just help the situation?
No. First of all, it's not a miracle cure. It's an assisted device. The device has been developed in conjunction with speech therapists. We've listened very much to the community of speech therapy and how they go about the treatment of stuttering, and we've worked closely with stuttering treatment programs. The device will certainly not make you 100% fluent.
Yes.
But what it does do is it promotes fluency, and that is different for different people in different environments. So some people might get very anxious at talking on the phone, for example, and having this auditory feedback fed back into their ear would help them to become more fluent, would help to promote the fluency. In technical terms, what it does is it reduces the percentage of syllables stuttered.
Well, you always find that people that do suffer from stuttering, it's more in a nervous environment that they tend to, it tends to become more and more frequent in their speech.
Typically, not always. I must point out, I'm not a speech therapist, I'm a technologist.
Yeah.
So we have been involved with many stuttering treatment organizations, and we're involved in a technological way.
How long has this been around for?
Well, this particular device has started about 4 years ago, the development. We involved universities and colleges. We worked with overseas organizations in perfecting it. And we then took the device into a practical field trial environment.
Yeah.
So we rolled out the prototypes of this device in South Africa towards the beginning of last year, and we field tested about 100 stutterers with the device. We monitored their progress, we captured the data, and we calibrated our device to optimize the settings on our device.
And the feedback?
The feedback was good. We were very encouraged. We were encouraged by the speech therapy community to work closely with them, which we did. We took quite a cautious approach, and I think what we've been able to do is develop a device that's user-friendly.
Yeah.
On the keypad itself, there are several different programs that can be selected. One of the problems with these devices is that when you try and use them in a high ambient noise environment, they generally don't work very efficiently.
Right.
So we've developed a special noise cancelling technology that allows you to select a different profile. So if we go from the studio into the coffee shop and there's a high ambient noise, you're able to select an alternative program that will rectify or cancel out the background noise and again promote the fluency. So,
now,
so just to recap how the device actually works.
Yes.
There's a headset, much like a cell phone headset that you would plug in. The microphone, which picks up your speech, goes into our device. The speech is processed, and the result is returned back into the ear, either wirelessly through a wireless link or through a conventional headset, like a cell phone walk-and-talk device.
What about children? Because that's where That's where I think it becomes an issue, especially when you're at school or when you're in an environment where people are looking at you and it's like, oh, you know, you especially in school, because I know that the children that suffer from it, it really is, it hinders them in a lot of respects. How will this help them, and is it easy for them to use as well?
Well, stuttering is a developmental disorder, so you wouldn't know that somebody stutters until they start to begin to speak.
Yes, of course.
And we all just learn to a degree. But as we go through increasing our vocabulary, developing our sentence structure, we tend to get that sorted out. With stutterers, that doesn't always happen. The first point of call for a stutterer that is young would be to approach a professional speech therapist and using conventional techniques to try and overcome that disfluency. That's something that we wouldn't want to interfere with at all. That's certainly the right way to go about treating stuttering. However, not everybody responds to therapy, and of course there are multitudes of different therapies. Even in the stuttering treatment program arena, there's contradiction in different techniques. So what we would encourage is people to try and resolve their disfluency through conventional therapy.
Okay.
The therapists are certainly well able to do that. Where people haven't responded well, a device like this will assist them. It's an assistive device to help promote fluency. And if they experience fluency, their confidence will build.
Yeah.
And it is a positive.
It is a form of perhaps helping and rectifying the situation on a confidence level. Just very quickly.
But it's much like a hearing aid. When you take it out, the effect is not there.
Yes, the effect is not there. Is it a first in the world, something like this, or are there other devices out there as well?
The theory has been around for a long time. The technology has been there in various different forms. What we've been able to do is package a lot of functionality into our device so that it can cope with a wider variety of everyday usages.
Okay.
We've developed it really for the developing world in that we made it robust. We've made it so you can use a standard cell phone charger to charge the device.
Yeah.
And probably what's most important is that it's programmable. So we can program this for different profiles. We know that stuttering is totally unique from individual to individual.
Certainly. Well, I'm sure people want to find out a lot more information. It's called the VoiceAmp speech systems. The details are on the screen there now. It's www.VoiceAmp, not VoiceCamp. Unfortunately, we've got that wrong there. It's VoiceAmp, that's the name of the product, .co.za. And then the number there as well is on the screen that you can call to find out more information about the VoiceAmp.
We encourage speech therapists to interact with us. If there are people out there in the speech therapy domain that would like to find out more about the product, please contact us. We have a very open policy, and we'd like to hear more from them.
Great. Visit that website, www.voiceamp.co.za. Alan Falk, Managing Director of VoiceAmp, thank you very much for joining us on the program. We'll take a break. When we return, final news and final weather. Stay tuned.